So John, the question is, Arlington voters have heard a lot about what you're against. Even your Facebook ads have focused extensively on opposition to the Longbridge Aquatic Center, even though that's now on a definite hold, and banning opposition to the streetcar. And yet, you have benefited enormously from the public investments that have been made by previous leaders in Arlington, in Metro, in public schools, even in buses. In this campaign, however, I haven't heard you articulate a vision for what the next 20 years of Arlington looks like. What would you do for people of my generation, of the cohort of 24 to 35-year-olds, of which we have the largest in the nation, to solve the challenges that face our community around school overcrowding, around housing affordability, other than general statements of support? I mean, what specifically would you do and how?
Thank you for your question, Alan. First of all, with respect to schools, let me preface my remarks by saying I've been endorsed by 8 former school board chairs and members, 4 Democrats, 3 Republicans, and 1 independent. In terms of the schools, as I indicated, that is my top priority. We need to ensure adequate funding through a permanent revenue sharing agreement, which is flexible enough to adapt to changing needs, but firm enough to provide some predictability to our public schools. Right now, we kind of lurch from funding crisis to funding crisis on a yearly basis, and the school system doesn't know whether they're going to be able to implement foreign language in elementary schools in the remainder of the schools, or they may have to cut back on employee compensation, or they may have to move a program from one school to another. We need to free up adequate bonding capacity for our schools' construction, as we already did this year. We need to secure passage of the school bond. We need to forge stronger ties between the county board and the school board with additional shared services, more timely cooperation to identify either county or school-owned properties that could accommodate schools or other public facilities, not including parks. And we need to better coordinate in the planning and construction phases of new schools. And we absolutely need to invest in transit. I call for bus rapid transit along the pike. We're already putting in BRT, bus rapid transit, along the Route 1 corridor. What I'm talking about is strategic investments for our community that are going to serve the test of time, not extravagant projects of questionable value that really don't fit within today's economic realities.
And yet, you again benefit from those very same investments in the metro. So if we roll the cameras back 50 years, we have buses going up and down Wilson Boulevard instead of metro. We wouldn't have a Silver Line today if we'd taken that same approach to buses can do the job just as well. We know that that's not true. We've seen it in our own community. We see it in other communities. I mentioned Portland earlier. There's other examples. Phoenix as another example where they've already hit their 2030 ridership numbers on a 19-mile streetcar line that's driven the kind of economic growth as well as the kind of transportation benefits that we're expecting. So there are examples that we can draw from and should draw from in terms of how do we make this system work better. And that's what I called on in the 5-point plan that I laid out for improving the streetcar. So again, it's easy to say you're for it, but when the votes actually counted, you voted against schools, you voted against metro, you voted against parks, all to make a political point about the streetcar.